Patients can be violent and unpredictable. A young intern had to face one of these. It was a woman who attacked everyone around and mutilated herself. At some point, she knocked out her eye, and the organ was left hanging on one nerve. One man went to the ambulance complaining of pain in the anus. He said that he couldn't even sit down for a minute lately and suggested that it was because of some foreign body. Strangely enough, the assumptions were confirmed, and in the man's anus, doctors found a piece of a leg from a stool. When asked how he got there, the patient replied that he accidentally fell on a chair. A piece of the leg broke and got stuck in the anus. The patient asked to keep the incident a secret from his wife. Baby, 1 month old. He was admitted to the burn department. They took me to the village to visit my grandmother, to bring a bristle. Brought together, and with it 80% of the skin. The child was not saved. I felt sorry for Dad, he was against visiting his grandmother. But Mom still believes that the baby was killed by doctors. After all, the bristles are reduced, but no one dies after that. An ambulance was contacted by a person reporting that a 200-kilogram woman had lost consciousness. With difficulty, the doctors took her to the hospital. Unfortunately, due to problems with the cardiovascular system, the patient died. But her story didn't end there. Examining the body after death, doctors found in one of the folds a dead cat. Mom brought her 7-year-old boy to the hospital, who behaved very strangely. He threatened to kill her. According to the woman's stories, she found knives under Chad's pillow. Then it became clear to her where the corpses of animals appear from time to time in the backyard. Being in the clinic, the child behaved quite strangely and talked as if he clearly knew what others wanted to hear from him. A woman came to the ambulance complaining of pain in the anus. The doctor asked her to take off her trousers for examination. He had no idea what a surprise was waiting for him there. A big worm was looking from the patient's anus directly at the doctor. As a result of this examination, one doctor vomited, and the other lost consciousness. A woman with a massive burn of the oral cavity was brought to them by ambulance. After first aid, she was asked what had happened. As it turned out, she brushed her teeth with toilet cleaner. I wanted to whiten it. So she was also outraged. How so? It says, "Careful to enamel," on the bottle. At the wedding, the bride shouted, "Hurrah!" so loudly that she dislocated her jaw. She was immediately taken to the nearest emergency room, where her jaw was quickly set. Everything would be fine, but the groom again brought the bride to the emergency room at 2 in the morning. It turned out that this time she yawned unsuccessfully, and her jaw dislocated again along the rolled path. That's how their wedding night went. I'm a massage therapist. I had a client Tracy for quite a long time. The shape type is apple. This is when the legs are slender, and the belly is prominent and begins immediately under the chest. She came to me for weight loss, and we actively sculpted the waist. And so she calls me one day before the procedure. I'm not coming today. I felt some seals under my chest. Is there a fever? Does it hurt? Itches? No. That's when I got my first gray hair. I speak. Sit and wait. We'll go to the consultation now. I'm negotiating with a surgeon I know. Have arrived. I'm waiting in the hallway. Tracy flies out, runs to take off her shoe covers. My friend comes out. I find it difficult to describe his facial expression. I ask, "What did you diagnose?" "Ribs." I work in intensive care. Grandmother 76 years old, condition after cardiac arrest. Pumped out barely. Grandma comes to her senses and the first question is to me, "And why did you save me?" "Who asked you to? There's nothing for you to do." I didn't expect such gratitude. Recently, within 1 week, I heard 2 sayings from different people. Mom's friend seriously told her that it was stupid to do an operation to remove oncology. It was more effective to apply sauerkraut to the sore spot. I heard the second one from a friend. She offered herself to get injections of hyaluronic in her face, because cosmetologists are very expensive. Naturally, no one wants to listen to my advice. And that I am a doctor, and I explain the consequences, they also know better. They call the resuscitation team on a call, it's bad for the child. We go into the apartment, 3 healthy men are sitting, drinking. To the question, "Where is the child?" They nod, they say, "In the bathroom." The corpse of a 3-week-old baby floats in a full bath. To the question, "Who drowned?" They said with a guffaw, "Nothing, let him learn to swim." A team of 2 people came out, initiated the driver into everything. The 3 of them returned and specifically fucked these guys, called the cops and left. Naturally, there was nothing for the brigade, because the men were drunk, they could fight themselves. And no one will believe such people. One of the team, a young doctor, no longer worked in the intensive care unit. Couldn't. Often criminal stories in our practice coincide with the fact that their participants drink. An emergency can happen anywhere, in a nightclub, sauna, in crowded places on a holiday. In this story, the boys, each of whom is 20 years old, decided to play, so they themselves later told. On a bet, they began to chop off each other's fingers. One young man managed only 2. And the other, in general, with a brush. We arrived at the place when no more than 40 minutes had passed since the beginning of their game. They managed to collect everything they chopped off, put ice on it and took it to the hospital together with these young people. Everything was sewn on. But in the case of the brush, it was more difficult. Doctors at the hospital failed to connect all the vessels and nerve endings. But at least the hand was returned to its place. Some of the fingers are working now, some are not. But the fact that the guys were drunk played a good role for us. The young people's pain threshold decreased, so they were quickly hospitalized, they didn't even have time to lose consciousness. When asked who called the ambulance during this emergency, it turned out that one of the participants in this story still came to mind that something was going wrong. A young girl in her 20s. She decided to commit suicide and threw an oil heater into the bathtub. The current was too small to kill her on the spot, but enough to paralyze her while the device was slowly heating the water in the bathroom. In general, in the end she was boiled alive. Perhaps not the best method of suicide. I work as a security guard at a local hospital. We have a big wing for psychos, and sometimes there are problems with them, so the guys and I had time to see a lot, but it was too much even for me. Last week I had to take to the morgue the body of a patient who died because he tore off his penis with his bare hands, tried to swallow it and choked. I'm quitting tomorrow. Put a like. Subscribe to the channel so as not to miss new stories.